that mean what I think it means? Just like that thing in Central America.
I'm gonna have me some fun.
Gonna tell that baby about up the joint. Baby has a music buddy having a lot of fun, oh baby.
Oh man, am I looking at the greatest game ever made right here, right now? Holy shit, this is the best game ever made. You even have a middle finger button. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Alright. Time to calm down. In all seriousness, this is not the best game ever made. However, I will make the following statement. This is my 2013 Game of the Year. No joke. I've played a lot of games that came out this year, and most of them have been terrible. But not this one. And that is because this game is about one of the most important things in my life. And that is 80s action sci-fi movies. Blood Dragon is a combination of the best 80s action sci-fi cinema, like Aliens, Terminator, Predator, and RoboCop, while also combining some of the worst, like Warrior of the Lost World, Crime Zone, and The Runaway, and also combining Ronald Reagan's right-wing propaganda that can be seen in films like Red Dawn and Rambo 3, also combined with a soundtrack that marries John Carpenter to Brad Fiedel. One of the music tracks is literally a reinterpretation of the Terminator theme song. Blood Dragon is if Blade Runner was a comedy. It's the VHS version of the future.
I fucking hate tutorials, and this one is terrible.
The year is 2007. America and the Soviet Union have nuked each other to oblivion. The apocalypse just had another apocalypse right after Vietnam War II happened. You are Sergeant Rex Power Colt, a Mark IV cyber commando who is tasked to infiltrate an island in search of his former colonel who has gone rogue. Oh yeah, and the island is covered with enormous cyber dragons that shoot lasers out of their fucking eyes. If that wasn't enough to convince you to go buy the game right now, then this should. Rex Colt is voiced by none other than the legendary Michael Biehn.
School's out for summer. School's out forever.
Blood Dragon comes from the deranged mind of Dean Evans, who is the creative director behind this masterpiece, and claims to have written the script for it using a BBC Micro. Ubisoft decided to do something brilliant and it worked. Give a small team an existing, efficient engine along with its art assets, and let them quickly create a spin-off game that is to be released in 6 months' time. They also announced it on April Fools, so people weren't even sure if this was going to be real or not. Blood Dragon is essentially a reskinned Far Cry 3, one covered in purple and in neon lighting. It runs on the same exact engine, much of the art, graphics, and animations have also been reused, but have been outfitted with a retro-futuristic look. You have the same wildlife as you did in Far Cry 3, but now there are cyber sharks and cyber tigers instead. The gameplay is the same as well. It's an open-world first-person shooter, a genre that I honestly think we should have more of. I mean, what do we have? We have Far Cry, Stalker, and, what else? Rage was pretty fucking terrible. The first Crisis, while not really being open world, but it still had huge sandbox levels. I mean, but that came out in 2007. I'm sick to my stomach with all these awful copy-pasted generic corridor shooters. Anyways, moving on. In between story missions, you can freely roam around the island and do side objectives. Just like Far Cry 3, enemy soldiers, here they're called Omega Force, control various garrisons across the map. Taking these over is extremely fun. Every garrison has its own different layout. They are protected by a green shield that prevents blood dragons from entering. This is where the sandbox nature and the flashy, over-the-top combat really shine. There's so many different ways to approach these garrisons. To capture one, you need to kill all the enemy units inside and make sure that there are no blood dragons inside. The blood dragons have awful eyesight but fantastic hearing. You can pilfer enemy cyber hearts from dead soldiers and use them as bait because that's their snack, that's what they love to eat. So what you can do is you can destroy the shields, lure the dragons inside, hope the enemy has helicopters, and enjoy seeing some beautiful beautiful carnage, and that's just one of the ways that you can approach these garrisons.
He has stars in his eyes.
Liberated garrisons give you a place where you can resupply, purchase upgrades for your various weapons, as well as buy health kits and armor. You can hold up to 9 hand grenades and 9 Molotovs, because why the fuck not? They also offer up to 2 additional side missions, which will unlock various weapon upgrades. These missions, they're fairly generic. They usually involve either killing a cyber animal with a particular weapon, an elite Omega Force soldier, or rescuing a hostage. However, they're all hilariously written, and there are a couple of unique ones, which I'm not going to mention because you have to see those to experience them for yourself. There are also collectibles. You can collect research notes, which gives you backstory to the game, as if anyone gives a shit. There's VHS tapes that you can read the synopsis of, which sound like awful movies that sadly were never made. And you can collect TV sets. Every time you pick one of these up, Rex Colt always has a humorous remark about how stupid the activity is.
So I collect shit to unlock shit, and then I get shit. Got it. I hope I don't have to collect any fucking flags. Yep, got another one. What the fuck am I doing?
Blood Dragon is so retro that it's brilliant. And I'm not talking about the gameplay, I'm talking about what it's based off of. You have RoboCop's 3-round burst pistol. You wield the shotgun like Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. When you fire the minigun, you scream like Mac from Predator. And you run like the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Funnily enough, you run faster than he does, so that makes driving vehicles in this game completely pointless. The art direction is wonderful. You have scan lines on your screen to imitate the picture quality of 80s tube TVs. Loading screens have tracking bars like old VCRs. And when you're running low on health, the color on your screen starts to fade out and the image becomes full of static. The cutscenes look like they come from old video games. They remind me of Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake for the MSX2. To match this fantastic retro vibe, you have this amazing soundtrack done by Power Glove, a retro synth duo hailing from Australia. It is so good, so addicting, I just can't get enough of it.
Share and share alike.
Graphically, the game is gorgeous. That should be obvious since it reuses a lot of Far Cry 3's elements. It's just as customizable with a huge variety of graphical options. It supports DirectX 11, has rebindable controls, and a field of view slider. Take note, developers, this is what every first-person and third-person shooter should have. It's insanely well optimized too. I pre-ordered this game and played it the second it was unlocked. I easily got over 60 FPS maxed out at 2560 by 1440. Granted, I do have an i7-3930K CPU and two 6970s in Crossfire, but the key thing to remember is, I had no issues with Crossfire. I had no micro-stuttering, no graphical anomalies, no glitches, no nothing. The scaling was perfect. Both cards were running at over 90%. This is funny because when I went back to play Far Cry 3, I was still having some micro-stutter issues here and there. To complete this perfect combination of everything is the humor. I've already interspersed the various so awful that they're amazing one-liners that Rex says throughout the game. Thankfully, they never stop. Rex has a comment for everything. The dialogue during missions is brilliantly written as well.
What's with the needle, Doc?
Listen, this will make you more like Sloane. Powerful, but without the side effects.
No, Doc. No way. I swore an oath to a special lady.
Your wife?
No. Lady Liberty. She taught me that winners don't use drugs.
All right.
Blood Dragon does suffer from Far Cry 3 syndrome, in the sense that by the time you get to the end of the game, you're going to be so overpowered that the game will no longer offer you a challenge. You're going to have a fully automatic quad-barreled shotgun that shoots fire, a sniper rifle that shoots explosive rounds, and an assault rifle that shoots laser beams. Fucking laser beams. I shit you not. I definitely recommend playing the game on hard. your first half of the game is going to be a challenging, awesome fight for survival. My only real complaint about Blood Dragon is the length. Sadly, it's criminally short. It took me 8 hours to do everything the game has to offer, and that includes getting every single collectible, which is something I never ever do. But because you can buy maps that reveal their locations, and you run so fast, I figured why the hell not. So if you skip doing that stuff, it'll probably take you around 5 to 6 hours to beat it. After beating it, you can also reset the garrisons if you want to run around and kill some more dudes and dragons. You also have to remember that this is a AAA title for only $15. Blood Dragon is a cyberpunk, post-apocalyptic homage and parody of the 80s. It's stupid as shit, it makes no sense, and it's a fucking masterpiece. Some people seem to forget what fun means. In recent years, developers and writers have been trying to push out these deep and meaningful stories, but for the most part, they've been failing miserably. There are some exceptions like CD Projekt and Telltale Games, but those people are few and far between. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making a dumb as shit game, when the graphics, gameplay, soundtrack, and voice acting, humor, so on and so forth are all perfectly done. There's not a second of downtime in Blood Dragon, just non-stop fun. Please, Ubisoft, give Dean Evans the blessing and resources to make Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon 2 as huge and as long as Far Cry 3 was. Then my life would wholly be complete. Unless Serious Sam 4 manages to come out this year, then this is without a doubt my favorite game of 2013. I'm Private Hudson. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends.
Rex, I saw the whole thing through my scope. That was incredible.
No, Doc. Paintings of crying clowns and dogs playing poker. Those are incredible. What I did, that's just a job.